It's Monday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Murayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. Hello, Mariam Longe. How are you? How was your weekend?
Fine. Weekend was good. I was able to stop by the trade fair that's happening at Fabaliwa Square. Stopped at our colleagues' stall, Hall 2, and picked something off. So the lovely, nice boo-boos that she has there is still ongoing. Everyone should go and see what it's at BC Empire. BC Empire. BC Empire. House of BC. Everything. Hair, dresses, skincare, everything right there.
Cool.
And it's still going on right now.
Nice. How are you doing, Nima? How was your weekend?
My weekend was really nice. Except for visiting my mom, I didn't leave the house at all. I slept all through. I'm grateful for sleep. Yes, I'm very grateful for that. I'm also very grateful for the kindness of somebody.
Love your glasses. Oh, it looks so good on you.
Gifting me glasses.
Yeah.
I'm going to get his permission to mention his name on air, but I got 2. And they asked me to pick more.
This is really nice.
And said, "Those your colleagues telling you that go and come and choose anyone you like." So thank you for the ladies of your view. Please start seeing me next time so that they can.
You need to get more of this shape.
Yeah.
This is your shape.
This was my husband's choice. The other one was Jumoke's choice. So I still couldn't choose by myself.
Yeah, this one actually is your shape. This one.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Hello, Topsy. How are you?
I'm very
How was
good.
your weekend?
Weekend, I've been full week.
How was Benin?
Yes, it was a full week celebration. It wasn't just Benin, funny enough. We went from Benin City to Ewohimi for my mother-in-law's burial. It was from Tuesday, service of song.
How long is that journey?
Thanksgiving. So I flew to Benin, but drove to Ewohimi.
Yeah.
But driving to Benin is about 2...
No, I mean from Benin
to the village. Yeah. A journey of less than 1 hour, 30 minutes took us almost 3 hours to go, and it was because the road was terrible. The federal roads in Benin, terrible, as in, that wasn't what my banter is about, but the road, like, I have to speak for my in-laws. It is, villages are disconnected, businesses are not happening, but all in all, I'm extremely grateful to God for the party, the ceremony. The ladies of your view were fully represented. BC Amuraya represented all of you. Thank you all so much. It was a long journey. It was a beautiful location. God showed up for us. People showed up for us. And they've had safe trips so far. Some people are still traveling on their way outside the country, but I'm so, so grateful. God was faithful.
Thank you. It was a fantastic experience. Probably my second time in Benin. The first time, I think I went with the crew, with the production crew, but this time, it's still not, I'm not really in that Benin. Just in and out, but I enjoyed being with family, your family and everything. Thank you for having us. And may her soul rest in peace. 4 boys. And they had their children, the wives, the whole family. It was such a beautiful
so you're just
scene.
repeating
Yes,
what she...
and
So one more boy for you.
Beautiful scene to see all the brothers come together with their wives and children dancing around. They were in white and they had the Edo beads. And it was a lovely sight to see. I just loved it.
Culture is beautiful,
culture is
actually.
just an amazing representation, and I enjoyed it. So may her soul continue to rest in peace.
Amen.
Let's go on a quick break. When we return, we'll look at the front pages of the papers. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're going to start with The Nation. Why Central Bank must bring down inflation by Sanusi. President leads heads for Saudi with investment options. 19 years after final severance benefits for airways workers. Banks' assets base rose to 125 trillion in third quarter. NLC Imo government clash over attack on Nigeria's village. Naira firm up will continue, APCON predicts. Dangote repatriated $684 million from African operations, and Jay's Bank grew profits by 74% in Q3. Let me start with the major headlines. So, the 14th Emir of Kano spoke when he led the members of the impact investing community to a Qatar visit to CBN to see the CBN governor, Olayemi Cardoso. He said that the inflation rate has maintained a long streak of consecutive increases over the month, and that the government must immediately do something to ensure that the inflation rate comes down. According to him, he added that many people do not know the impact of central banks' works until central bank fails. He acknowledged the importance of long-term planning by the CBN To achieve its own goals, Sanusi emphasized the need for fiscal authorities to focus on agriculture and education, especially for the girl child. He expressed delight at the visit of Cardoso. He also pledged continued support by the impact investing community to the CBN. Cardoso also, in response to him, reiterated the fact that the bank will focus mainly on core mandates of price stability. He restated his team's determination to change the narrative about the Apex Bank and make it more efficient going forward. He said at the end of the tenure, they want people to look back and see their policies have actually impacted the lives of the Nigerian people.
Okay, let me just follow up on another CBN story. So Dr. Aminu Gwadabe, who is the president of the Association of Bureau de Change Operators of Nigeria, said that, of course, that Naira will continue to rally because the CBN has a double-edged strategy against this, which is liquidity of the dollar and mopping up of cash through interest rates in Naira to keep the Naira stable. He said this is, of course, very commendable. The local currency had crossed 1,350 to $1 in the parallel market, and recently it dropped again to 950 to $1. And he says that it will continue to be like that because of this development that the CBN is doing. He commended them and also asked that the CBN continue to make clarification and implement some of the association's recommendations going forward.
Okay.
Yes, I have. So our president, who is described as being taking his aggressive push for more investments to Saudi Arabia. He'll be attending the bilateral summit there, and one of the things that will be on the table will be how Nigeria can take advantage of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. The Saudi-African Summit will explore economic ties between Africa and Saudi Arabia, including counterterrorism, agriculture, and the environment. Then the Arab-African Summit will focus on expanding infrastructure between both regions, especially a new high-speed train network between the Arab League of Nations and then the African Union countries. The spokesperson for the president, Ajuri Ngalale, saying to us that, there are so many expectations, the outcomes from this summit, what it would mean for us. He's saying that apart from just increased trade between these two countries, especially as they're leading economies in the Arab world, that's Saudi Arabia, and then we in Africa, we're hoping that this will bring about increased and more profitable economies, jobs across the two regions. And then he's saying that, as we all know, our president is very aggressive, as always, in his promotion and pursuit of new foreign direct investment. And he'll be meeting with investors across sectors and will be pushing very proactively for new inflows for foreign exchange into Nigerian economy through investment in really growth-enabling and labor-intensive sectors of the economy.
So the NLC and the Imo State governments have had a bit of clash. Specifically, the NLC has alleged that the Imo State governor has instigated attacks against the NLC president, Joe Ajaro's village, the hometown. Joe Ajaro had last Wednesday led workers in Owerri to protest the fact that what they are alleging as the failure of the government to pay salaries and the fact that the government has not delivered any dividends to the people, and the attack turned violent. Joe Ajaro himself was attacked, and they say some thugs were brought in to stop the protest. In that attack, the police had to take him away because he sustained some injuries that led, and they put in the guise of protective custody. Then, on the 4th, Saturday, a few days after that event, they said that some thugs came to his village and came to ransack his village in the guise of trying to get him, that it was just normal thuggery activity, but they are alleging, the NLC is alleging, and the TUC are threatening to go on strike unless the IGP redeploys the police officers that are the Commissioner of Police in Imo State. They made other demands because they felt the police was compromised in how it handled the protest that they felt was peaceful. They also alleged that the attack that took place in Ajero's village, which is in Azala Owela in Omekuku Owerri of Imo State, the hometown of the NLC president, was instigated by the governor. But the governor has debunked this claim, saying he was not in any way involved in what is happening between them. But we're hoping that the police actually steps in to bring peace to the states. And those that are complaining of salary being paid they should get their salaries paid.
Okay, moving on to the Punch. Off-season government polls. 220 police patrol vehicles deployed in Imo, Kogi, and Bayelsa. Commanders, others killed as military bombards terrorists. Details of 70 recovered corpses with police in Abia. Lautech students sue Makinde for relocating Agric faculty. Trafficker excretes 86 heroin wraps. NDLEA seizes 14.54 million opioids. Israel gives condition for ceasefire. Deaths hit 11,000. Cooking gas scarcity hits Lagos, Katsina, and others. Niger, Benue, Kano marketers hike fuel, blame transport costs, and collecting pension on lawful Falan hotels, Akpabio, and others.
Okay, NDLEA, they're reporting that no fewer than 14,481,519 pills of tramadol and bottles of codeine syrup worth over 13 billion in street value have been recovered by, about 3 different operations that they did recently, called 3 major busts. It happened in Amodofin, Idumota, and also the Sako shed of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport. So the first one was a raid on a house, 810 Honorable Wahoo Avenue in Divine Estate, Agop Palace area of Amodofin, where 490,000 pills of tramadol, 81,519 bottles of codeine syrup, measuring 4,510,000 mils were recovered. Then NDLE also, the second bust, they swooped in on a secret warehouse operated by billionaire Idumota trader Nwaha Anayo. This place is located in Aguda of Surulere, where over 12.7 million pills of tramadol were recovered. Then at the Sakos shed at the Murtala Mohammed Airport. So this is a syndicate of 6 employees of Skyway Aviation Handling Company warehouse. So they were using the official, official office to be running this whole syndicate. They said that this particular operation took them many weeks, but after then they've arrested them. Over 1.2 million pills of tramadol was seized from them after the operation. Their picture is on the page of the paper and their names also written out. And then finally, this man was arrested, a 50-year-old man arrested. He had left Lagos and was heading to France, to Amsterdam, sorry. And then he was scanned, found that he had ingested heroin, and then after he had been kept for a while, he was able to excrete them. And they said he excreted 86 pellets of heroin weighing 1.330 kilograms.
All right, let's go on a quick break now. When we come back, we continue with our review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Still reviewing Punch. So the governor of Abia State, Alex Oti, has said last Sunday during his media chat, was saying that he was explaining the 70 bodies that was recovered, corpses that were recovered by the police. He was responding to the leaders of the northern community in the markets who said that they saw the move by the governor to convert the market to become a daily, from a weekly market to becoming a daily market, as a ploy to evict them. That's the northern community in that market. They said it was a ploy to evict them from the market, saying that they were not even aware of the discovery of the corpses at all. The governor, however, responded saying that the security operatives, the security agents have access to the corpses, and investigations are still ongoing. And once it's concluded, they'll determine if it's going to be, they have a mass burial or public viewing for people to come and identify their loved ones, or they will find a way to handle the burial of the corpses. However, the security agencies do have access to the corpses, and the investigation is ongoing at the time.
Okay, so I have the cooking gas story.
Sorry?
Oh, I thought you had taken a story in Punch before. I want to take the
one
story
Mariam
of...
has.
Oh,
Go ahead.
sorry. Oh, go ahead.
What is wrong with it? Not change.
It's still in the beginning. Go ahead.
So cooking gas, according to this Punch report, has increased, is scarce, according to the report, across some states, Lagos, Katsina, Sokoto, Delta, Kaduna, and Kano. And so they took an inventory and said that, across the states, and said that the terminal owners are the ones who increased the cost of the price of cooking gas. In October, they increased it by 66%. They were buying at 9 million, 20 metric tons of cooking gas at 9 million from LNG, but they increased it to 10 million. That's the cooking gas terminal owners. And so they went and asked the chairperson, the president, Nigerian Association of Liquefied Petroleum Gas Marketers, Olatunbosun, why this is happening. And he said, well, he in his own gas plant, he sells at 950 to 1 kg. But people will then go to those who do not have to sell. So people who don't have, of course, will buy from people like the president and add their own profit to selling. So that's what he thinks is happening here in Lagos. But eyewitnesses say that there's no scarcity of the product, just deliberately increased. So now a 12.5 kg cylinder goes for 13,500. And you will find the gas in all those plants where you want to buy. It's just that the money has gone up. So I will stick with the fact of gas plant owners increasing the money themselves, you know.
Okay.
So I want to take the story about collecting pension. The human rights lawyer and son, Mr. Femi Falana, has appealed to the Senate president. He was specifically mentioning the name of the Senate president, Godswill Akpabio, that and all the other former governors to stop collecting pensions that they're entitled to as governors. He said that following the fact that Ogun State, that's former governor of Ogun State, Benga Daniels, and former governor of Gombe State, Ibrahim Dan Kwambo, have urged that this should be stopped. He also asked the State Assembly that Kwara has done it, Imo has done it, Zamfara has done it. The House of Assembly has stopped paying pension, the governor's pension scheme, and other state assemblies should follow. This is in support of the SERAP, the Social Economic Rights and Accountability Project. They have filed a suit against the Attorney General of the Federation, challenging the validity of pension payments to former governors within Nigeria. And he's speaking to say, even before we get the verdict on these cases, the state assemblies should discontinue these payments, considering where the country is financially.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on now to Vanguard. CBN Governor Cardoso vows to fight inflation. Alleged bias IGP to redeploy Imo Commissioner of Police. Third Mainland Bridge, FG advises motorists to use alternative routes. Forex gains banks' profits balloons by 156% to 2.3 trillion. Flights resume as federal government reopens the Ibadan airport. SERAP sues Tinubu over failures to probe missing $15 billion and 200 billion naira oil revenue. Tinubu leaves Abuja for Saudi summit this week. 5 days to Bielsa Imo Kogi polls. Fear of violence, apathy looms. And interview why Nigerians should kiss free, fair, credible elections. Goodbye, says Umudu.
Yeah,
Let
me discuss just a very short story. I think we're aware of the plane that crash landed at the Ladoke Akintola Airport in Ibadan. Over the weekend, it was carrying the Minister for Power and his entourage. Gladly, there were no casualties, but they said the plane was extensively damaged. Anyway, just to say that the airport has been reopened again and flights have resumed. That's all.
Was it a private jet, right? I think it was.
Yes, it was a private jet.
Okay, so Third Mainland Bridge, let me take that story. The Lagos federal government, in Lagos, federal government has urged motorists to use alternative routes to avert gridlock as comprehensive repair works at the Adekule ramp to Third Mainland Bridge will be closed from today. 9 a.m. will be closed today. This was said by addressing newsmen on 11.8 kilometer bridge. This was engineer Mrs. Olukorede Kesha was saying that the repairs will begin today, adding that those of you coming in from Yanowuru, going to the island, you have no issues.
Okay.
Is if you are going off or exiting off to the ramp to Adekunle, that is closed. If you're coming in also from Herbert Macaulay, getting to Durban, you can't do that because it's been closed for repairs. So those of you going in and out to the island from Yanowuru to the island, it's fine. It's free. So you're good to go because I thought about it.
So I have the Serap story. Serap has sued the president, in another of mandamus, in order to compel him to probe the 15 billion oil revenues and 200 billion budgeted to repair the refineries in Nigeria between 2020 and 2021. The Nigerian Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, NETI, made these allegations that the NNPC and the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NPDC, failed to remit 13.591 million and 8.251 billion to the public treasury. And so in this, of course, Serap went for an order of mandamus to direct the president to order the security agencies to probe these monies, oil revenues and refinery repair monies that were budgeted and disbursed to the NNPC as well as the Nigerian Petroleum Upstream Regulatory Commission. I think it's about time we get clearer audits and, a transparent audit of the NNPC's dealings. I wondered how it was possible throughout the last administration that they didn't remit money when those allegations were made. Yeah,
I want to quickly take the price hike, in petrol price hike that has taken place within the north. There's been a steady increase in price of fuel in the north. They said that as opposed to it being sold in the south for, it's going for around 610, 630, as much as 640 to 680 naira per litre. This is in Niger, Benue, Kano, and the marketers are blaming the cost of transportation. Speaking for the marketers, they said particularly in the north, the IPMAN president, Chief Ukadike Chinedu, said that because the petrol is being moved by road, diesel cost is 1,200 naira per litre. They have to put the cost of diesel moving petrol that comes in from the coastal areas of Nigeria to the north is going to continue to make the price of petrol go up in the north. Said that the roads are terrible and that some of their trucks spend as much as 1 week moving products from the south to the north. And the calculation is what makes the price to go up, that the cost of transportation is going to continue to affect the cost of products in the northern areas of Nigeria. And the motorists, of course, are all complaining. The residents are complaining that what can be done. I just feel really sad that we still don't have train transportation for moving these products because there's no way to make it cheaper to move products from the south to the north if we're using roads and depending on diesel.
Okay, let's, do you have any story in the point? Who has any story?
Yes, I have this.
Anxiety as voters decide candidates' fate. High cost of living worsening our predicaments. Nigerians living with disabilities lament. Diversification drives Nigerian pension fund and the menace of godfatherism in Nigerian politics. Okay, which story? So is that 74-year-old?
Yes, I do. I have a very chilling story. I almost didn't take it, but it's good to just highlight these stories for us to be aware of what is happening and what the government is doing. So a 16-year-old girl has told or has narrated her story on how when she was 14, her parents had sent her over to stay with her grandfather, who at the time was about 72. But he's in his 70s, so at this time he's a 74-year-old man. And that while she was staying with him for 2 years, from when she was 14 till she was 16, she says that he raped her many times. And that her family members are aware. She's told her family members over and over again, but the family members said, yes, they've heard it, but they just thought she was trying to spoil the name of their family or spoil the man's name. It was until, she spoke to a few other people that this became a police case. He's been dragged to court, and so that's why we're hearing about it. So this happened from 2021 up to this year.
Yeah.
Sadly, saying it's only twice.
And then in his own defense, he says, well, it just happened twice. It wasn't for 2 years.
It's
final story.
We have this account of, people living with disabilities decrying the hardship presently in the country. And this report took one person whose name is David, and didn't mention his surname, who has a spinal cord injury, how he's dependent on his brother since he had that accident, and how because of rent, the landlord keeps increasing rent in Oshun where they live, and his brother can no longer provide certain basic amenities for him. He says government should look into that. He says that it is the same, and the article then covers that it's the same situation for people living with disabilities across the country. They went from state to state, association to association, Nigerian Association of the Blind in Osun. They also went to the Northern Nigeria Disability Forum, where they picked on, the people living with disabilities, of course, saying that the palliatives that government promised has not even reached their associations or to them in any way. And transportation, of course, is still a problem because they need money. One of the problems that they have is that they are largely unemployed, they lack skills, and they are unable to acquire quality education because of the way the country is wired. Most of the times they've been fighting that, they create amenities where it's easier for them to exist and live and thrive on their own without necessarily begging. And I hope that the Ministry for Humanitarian Affairs would get the points copied today, page 17, read it, and please look into something for them. Very important.
That's all we can take on Front Page Review. When we come back, move on to our next segment. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Joining us on the show is Honorable Minister of Communications, Innovation, and Digital Economy, Mr. Bosun Tijani. He will be speaking on communications, innovation, and digital economy under the administration of the President Bola Tinubu. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you so much for having me.
Good to have you. So let's start from the basics, because when we discuss innovation, technology, digital technology, a lot of Nigerians say it's a mouthful. Many don't even connect with your ministry. They know what it is, but they're not very crystal clear on what your job is. So to start from the beginning, what exactly is your job?
That's a fantastic question, Dolapo. I think a great opportunity, of course, to also pitch myself and my role to Nigerians. I think the job is quite straightforward. For everyone listening today, there's probably a connected device somewhere around you. If it's not your phone, it's probably your television, which is connected. Or it's something in your home that connects you to information, connects you to other people. And today we live in a world where these sort of technologies are the bedrock of every economy that you find in the world. There's absolutely no competitive, sustainable economy in the world that does not prioritize the use of digital technologies. As such, for any nation to be able to benefit from the application of modern digital technologies, you have to prioritize the backbone of it, which is telecommunications or communications technology, as some people will call it. But within that as well, is then the ability to be able to build innovative ideas, innovative solutions, whether in public sector or in the private sector, to ensure that this communications backbone can actually add value to society. That's then the innovation side of the work we do. But the bedrock of it all is that when we apply innovatively communications technology to lift our society, then we have an economy that is digitally compliant, and that's the digital economy part of my work. So my role and the role of my ministry is to supervise the activities of that sector, but also come up with policies, interventions, and programs to ensure that Nigeria can continue to develop, but also leapfrog development through the use of digital technologies. I think lastly, for those who may not understand, this ministry used to be called Communications and Digital Economy at the last dispensation. But under the current president, the president thought it true to add innovation to the name of the ministry, just to ensure that we're not just talking about these technologies because they're interesting and fun to talk about, but that we're applying in such a way that it can add value to society, and that's where that innovation side comes in, which I thought was a very smart idea by our president.
Okay. So, yes, the former minister was gladly focused on our NIN, our data collection and all of that. till date, most of us still have issues with the different agencies that, that will still drop data at bio data, UBI, all of that, BVN and all of that. I still hasn't created a neat security for us in the country because you still drop it every time. What exactly will you now, as minister, do as regards this data Nigerians are dropping along all these requirements that you want? And how do you harmonize it? And how does it create that security that we're looking for so that we, you can stem kidnapping, curb a lot of other ills that we have?
That's a fantastic question. I'll almost conclude that you're an engineer for putting that question forward, because it's also something that we've been looking at. I think we need to start first by recognizing the progress the last minister, the ministry, but also governments made. Because one thing that we've been able to do in Nigeria is to digitally identify our people. So about 90% of adults in Nigeria have now registered through the NIN system. Which is a fantastic progress because you can't develop if you don't know your people. But of course, we've always had the BVN as well, which was also relatively successful because many people registered on it. Now we have a unique opportunity as a nation, as you were saying, to harmonize and bring that together. And what we're looking to do, which we've started already, is through something that is called the digital public infrastructure. Digital public infrastructure is, again, the approach in which a nation harmonizes all its investment under the digital technology era to ensure that when you bring everything together, so one which is important is connectivity, as to ensure that more and more parts of Nigeria are now connected. We have to ensure that that connectivity is now being used for something. So, and to be able to use that, the next thing you need is identity. You have to ensure that everyone can be ID'd, which means when we're connected and when people are transacting and doing business online, that you can identify each person that is doing this. Then the third one, of course, is payments, which again, we've made significant progress around through the Nigerian interbank exchange system. When we put all those three things together, we can unlock and unleash creativity to the level that innovations can come at a pace that we've never imagined before. This is something that has been done in India and now is successful because every Indian citizen.
Technology. The irony.
Okay, I think our technology is freezing, so we'll try to go on a quick break. Okay, we lost you for a minute.
We have at NAMC or the data set that we have through BVN, we're bringing all those things together into one. And once we harmonize it, then we can unlock so much opportunity. So it's a major part of this administration and a major project which we've kickstarted.
Okay.
Yes, so your ministry has a lot of goals, many goals, and one of the ones that I feel that is quite ambitious is your plan to train 3 million tech talents in 4 years. And I'm quite curious how you're going to do that. And then apart from that, I also like to find out about, because some of the things I hear amongst people in that ecosystem, in that industry, is that they find it hard to get remote jobs. There are a few of them that do get that, but across board, largely many Nigerians are unable to get remote jobs, outside this country, and some of them tied to the perception, the negative perception Nigerians, people have of Nigerians. What is your take on that, and how can you improve job accessibility for our tech talents here in Nigeria?
Again, thank you. That's a fantastic question. I'm not sure, again, if I can share my screen, but I'll say that on TV, because I have a document that states exactly how we're going to get this done. But to your question, there's a shortage in workforce for technology talents, globally today. There's a shortage in workforce, whether it's in Nigeria or the rest of Africa or all over the world. And what we've seen is that for us to be able to use technology appropriately at the level that we want to use it, you need a decent workforce. If a technology company grows to the point where they need 500 software engineers in Nigeria today, they will struggle to find those 500. And we have a lot of young people that are looking for jobs. And we know with this government, with the mandate that the president is giving to us, even at the ministry and so many other ministries, in the way they have to prioritize technology, we understand that we're not going to be able to accomplish those goals if we don't have the workforce for it. So this is why we've launched the 3 million technical talent program. And we've designed an approach to help us accomplish it. that approach is that if we want to train 3 million technical talents in 4 years, you don't have to go as training all the 3 million at once because of so many challenges, including the one that you've painted. When we train these people, we have to be able to ensure that there's a path to them finding decent jobs, right? So we don't want them to just get trained and they still can't find jobs. And the jobs we're looking for will not just be jobs locally, because we understand that the shortage in workforce is global. We're coming up with arrangements to ensure that some of the things you mentioned are being mitigated and our people can actually find jobs wherever they want to. And this is already happening. It's already happening. In the last 10 years, the growth of Nigerians working remotely, of working for international technology companies, has been phenomenal. And we're seeing more companies that are saying they want to be able to explore opportunity to hire in Nigeria. So our approach is to go by it through a method that we've created, which we call 1 to 10 to 100. And the idea of 1 to 10 to 100 is that if you have a project like this, where the 3 million people you're talking about are individuals, they are real people. So we're not just throwing the numbers around because we want to excite Nigeria, number one. Two is that it's expensive to actually do these things. So you don't want to throw the money away and not be able to train people, but also get them into jobs. So the 1 to 10 to 100 approach will ensure that in the first 3 months, we will focus on 1% of our target. So 1% of 3 million is 30,000, right? And when we break down this 30,000 across all the 36 states, including FCT, you find that it's actually quite realistic to accomplish. As big as Lagos and Kano, as big as they are, we don't need to be training more than 2,500 or 3,000 in the first 3 months. So we've actually launched the call for that first 30,000. And to our surprise, we're already at about 1 million applications in less than 20 days, right?
Okay.
So there's excitement that people all over the country are interested in this technical talent. But when we deliver that 30,000 in the first 3 months, as we continue to deliver, we're going to learn a lot as to how we ensure that the quality of the training that our people are receiving is where it should be.
Right.
And if they receive the right quality, which means they become attractive to employers, we then need to ensure that we can create more bridges and opportunity for them to get employed, including new jobs. So the idea is not to go after existing jobs, create new jobs that doesn't exist in the country through partnerships, right, with organizations globally. And as we learn from that 30,000, we will then, by February next year, be moving into 10%, which is the 1 to 10. We move into 10% of our target, which is 300,000. The lessons that we've learned with the 30,000 will help us to rejig and ensure that we're not throwing money away. Then we'll do the 300,000 in about 18 months. Whatever we learn from that will teach us how to do this at scale, which means we can then aim to reach the 3 million target that we have. But in the time being, everyone that's applied for this program, just to wrap this up, everyone that's applied for this program will actually get the opportunity to be onboarded on a platform, and they will start to learn digitally. They may not be part of the first cohort of 30,000, but there's something they're going to be learned while they wait for their turn.
Okay, let me go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation with you. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Moving on now to Tokwe. Tokwe, go ahead, please.
Yeah, so, Minister, my question is, yours is an appointment that I was really looking forward to seeing how you're going to revolutionize Nigeria. And I want to ask you concerning innovation. So we've spoken extensively about deploying tech, getting jobs for Nigerians, but I feel that in solving local problems, we need local solutions. And I would like you to tell us what have you explored so far in using innovative technology to tighten the security challenges we're facing as a country, like to tighten the gaps that we're having with security challenges within our country, financial insecurity as well as the actual insecurity. Are you looking towards that side at all, or are you focusing your innovation towards job creation only?
Thank you, Tokwe. My mandate is broader than just job creation. As a explained, you can't apply technology deeply if you don't have the workforce. Hence the strong focus on job creation. In terms of innovation for society, I won't be able to go too deep into conversations around innovation and security on TV, right? But there's a ton of things that are happening there through our security operatives and Ministry of Defense as well. But beyond that, there's something we've created. If you look at our strategic blueprint, there's a document that we released probably about 4 or 5 weeks ago now, which explained succinctly at the very top level the activities that we intend to carry out. So it's a strategic blueprint for how the ministry is looking at deepening the application of technology for technical efficiency in the country over the next 4 years. And there's a part of it that is focused on, there are 2 parts of we have 5 pillars. You know, the first one is knowledge, which is what we've been talking about, creating know-how for the pool of workforce. The second one is policy, which is reimagining policy as a means of allowing creativity to thrive in the country, but also allowing those who want to innovate with technology to be able to help us innovate with technology without stifling the process, right? Without using policy to stifle the process. The third one is what we call infrastructure, which is deepening the state of our infrastructure, because we understand that, you know, we cannot, again, ride on digital technologies if we don't have the backbone, which is connectivity, broadband, the satellite that we have, ensuring that it's efficient. The third one is what we call the innovation, entrepreneurship, and capital. And this is where we hope that we can inspire and get more people building innovative solutions for the country. And the last one is trade, that even as they build for Nigeria, they sell to the rest of Africa. So specifically to your question, the bit that is focused on ensuring that we can see more innovation in different aspects of society is in policy, which is using policy to open up more opportunities. So over the next 4 years, you will see more entrepreneurs and inventors building in agriculture, for instance. You're going to see more people building in agriculture. You're going to see more in the security area that you've mentioned. You will see more in financial services, which is an area that we've been doing really well. You're going to see more people building in public health as well, using technology to ensure that people can have access to good quality healthcare delivery. In fact, part of our agency is working, there's a budget that we're dedicating to that program, where we want to drive the adoption of telemedicine, so that wherever you are in the country, you can have access to basic health service, you know, via connecting with doctors online. Then also you're going to see more innovation in things like transportation, smart city, and all of that. And to be specific, you also notice that a program was launched last week. Not launched, a part of it was signed last week, something called the IDICE, right? IDICE is actually focused on ensuring that there's a pool of capital locally that we can use to support innovators who want to build groundbreaking ideas to significant problems in society. So typically these people will have to rely on funding from abroad, but what we're doing is ensuring that we have our skin in the game locally, that there's some basic funding that can be there. So this program is around almost $600 million, the first batch that we're actually putting. And over the next 4 years, we're going to ensure that there's more patient capital for those who want to build innovative ideas. As you know, my background is from the startup space, and all we do is constantly looking for ways for people to build solutions to problems. And this is going to be the core of course, my ministry under my leadership.
All right, let me ask you a question that many Nigerians are probably wondering, because a lot of see you as an outsider coming into government. They see you as somebody who is young, fresh, and they feel that you're one of them. And many see you as, you know, this was quite critical of government. In your view, working in the executive, what are your how would you speak to Nigerians on the plans of this administration to make lives better? Because Nigerians, until they see, I was saying it last week, until they see giveaways, like, oh, you're giving free jobs to million people, or you're just giving out money to business owners, they don't feel like government is doing anything. But there's a lot of back work going on, which you can see, which we're going to see the results in future. But many still need a lot of buying of support from Nigerians. So as an outsider in, what would you say, how would you sell this administration to Nigerians who are totally cynical and skeptical about their plans?
Well, it's understandable. I think it's not just Nigerians. I think, you know, the public or populace is generally always cynical about what the government is up to. Even in the West, this is expected. But I think my mandate, as like you've described me, if someone coming from outside in, is to communicate better. I think we can do a great job of bridging the gap between governments and citizens by communicating better. Because my experience has been, and I think I'm extremely fortunate to be serving under a president that is very pro-business, that cares. All our engagement has always been about what can we do. Even in the cabinet, is constantly pushing. It's about ensuring that we can produce and provide opportunity for better quality of life for our people. That's all is constantly talking about. And it's pushing the cabinet hard to ensure that the focus is on this. So it is our responsibility to ensure that as we do this work tirelessly, that we're also communicating with people. Because like you said, when people don't see something concrete immediately, by the second week in office, people were already asking me questions. But the reality is that it takes proper planning. So I have to stick to my approach, release the blueprint, communicate it thoroughly. And as we started releasing programs and projects and people started seeing the opportunities that will be there for them, you can see that the citizens are warming up. It's a lot of work, because to be a minister is not a joke, it's actually hard work. But at the same time, you also have the responsibility to ensure that you're connecting with the people, communicating your plans to them. And I think people are not really crazy. They want a better life. They are impatient. But I think the more we communicate, the more we bridge that gap, and we can get at least some reasonable people on our side to see that this is a government that means business. You can see that in less than 6 months of this administration, a lot is happening, a lot of difficult decisions that must be taken for us to actually have the life that we all desire, the country that we all desire. That's what this administration has been all about. I personally, because of my profile, you will see that I will communicate a lot. I've already been doing this, and I don't intend to stop. I've released, for instance, I released my week in review at the end of every week on Saturday. I release a document showing what I've been up to in the week. Again, it's a way of keeping myself accountable, but also ensuring that the citizens actually understand that I'm doing the work the president is giving me to do. Yeah.
We see those weekly updates, and we're always looking forward to them. But you were recently at the AI Safety Summit, and now this brings me to the real cocoa question for Nigerians. Here we are trying to grapple with regulation of social media as it affects politics, governance, parenting, and then we're now talking about AI. AI that we heard is, it's all sort of sinister stories about it. And like we haven't even finished understanding what we have right now, and we're now talking about AI. Please, could you enlighten us, Nigerians? How would being involved in AI, even at this point, benefit Nigerians?
It's a great question, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak to this. So when people step back, and part of our intention is to actually enlighten Nigerians about what artificial intelligence is all about, because that's the starting point. If you have a good understanding of what artificial intelligence is all about and what is driving it, then you will understand that it's not something that we can leave for later. I always say most of the challenges we face in Nigeria and most African countries are wicked problems. They're wicked problems because they tend to occupy us. So when you talk about poverty, need to improve education, they occupy us. And as we're trying to address this problem, the requirement for fixing this problem, they continue to change. So if I give you an example, in education, 10, 15 years ago, what we needed to make education better was build more schools, train and hire more teachers. In the world that we live in today, it's not about how many more classrooms you build, because the way in which people want to learn is already changing. The future of work is changing. The kind of work that is required is changing. So for us to actually fix education, we need to be using intelligence. And the kind of intelligence that we need to use needs to dial into what the workplace is requiring today and how young people want to learn. Most young people today are used to technology. They learn on the go. They learn in really exciting ways. They don't want to learn being forced to learn, right? That is changing. And this is where artificial intelligence comes into place. Artificial intelligence is simply saying that we've developed technology to a point where it can collect a lot of data and aggregate the data and process the data and turn them into insight. And this insight in some cases can make machines do things that humans cannot do. So as people, we don't have a choice but to get on board, because if we're going to reduce poverty, we need to be able to aggregate data on our people, on our nation. If we're talking about agriculture, we need to be able to use insight to grow things better, right? So it is extremely important. And the danger of not being part of the AI movement is that it is developing so fast. For those who follow development in AI, I think generative AI made it a lot more clear to us. For those who know what generative AI is, where today, to write a speech, you actually may not require your secretary or your speech writer. Generative AI will do a better job than these people, you know, and even edit later, but generative AI will do a better job. So the development in artificial intelligence is moving so fast, and it doesn't matter whether you're a country in Africa, or you're a rich country, or a poor country, or a it doesn't matter. It's going to affect all of us. So if we don't participate in it now and engage in how it is governed, we can wake up in 6 months' time, and you know, people are using it to compromise our nation. So as government, it is our responsibility to ensure that we're being part of that movement, that we're being part of the conversation, we're being part of the governance, so that we can protect our people and our economy from the vice.
All right, let me go on a short break. When we come back, we continue our conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. All right, we still have the minister with us here.
Yes.
Nima has a question. Go ahead, please.
So the last administration again was already doing the 5G network before they left office. How far has it gone? And also, what does your ministry do as regards consumer protection when it comes to these network providers? We have poor services that we pay highly for, and we don't get, you know, the results we intend. For me, for instance, I run a business highly dependent on the internet. I pay hugely, but I don't get the services. I don't get quality service. What do you do as regards things like that?
Again, that's an important question, and something that is a priority for this administration. Again, if you check in the blueprint, you see that we're very specific about the things that we're going to do. There are a number of issues around quality of internet and the services that people get in Nigeria. I think most people tend to think that this is all about the telcos just being unruly or doing things to cut people off the service they should get. But in some cases, it's actually not just about the telcos. So the first thing first is to understand that the telcos rely on a set of infrastructure that makes it possible for them to be able to provide these services to you. And you know, aside from the base station, you also have things like the fiber optic cable that has been laid. And what most citizens don't get is that there are so many times that these cables are actually destroyed. Those that are digging the road and doing some work on the road will tend to cut the cable. Or you see some of their base station being vandalized by people that are trying to steal things. Every time something of that nature happens, and this is happening in so many places across the country, every time that happens, it puts pressure on their network because it takes away the backbone that provides the quality to you. So you have more people shifting to a certain level of infrastructure that is not meant to take as many people as was projected. And before they then fix that disruption, you know, the service that you're going to get will be poor. So one of the things that we're doing is actually ensuring that Mr. President can declare telecommunications infrastructure as critical national infrastructure, which means if you tamper with them, you probably have to go to jail. And, you know, so the reason for declaring it critical national infrastructure is that we don't want people like yourself whose business is dependent on connectivity not to be able to do what they want to do. If we're saying today that everything we do in the world is dependent on connectivity, then we have to all understand that every time we tamper with this infrastructure, that we're actually destroying the backbone that can help us continue to achieve what we want to achieve. The other things we're doing is to improve investment in that space as well, because the more fiber optic cable we have across the country, the better the quality will be. Even the 5G conversation will become something that everyone across the country can have access to. And Nigeria is one of the few countries in the world with what we call the submarine cable, which is the actual cable that brings internet to different countries. And typically you have to lay these under the sea. Nigeria has 9 of those cables now in Lagos. Of course, there's been investments in taking them in-road. For these cables to reach every part of Nigeria, we need to lay 95,000 kilometers of them, which is quite significant. And we have to encourage the private sector to do this. They've laid about 35,000 kilometers thereabout. And part of our mandate in this administration is to ensure that we can achieve about 70% of that 95,000 kilometer target. So we're coming up with policies. We're working with private organizations who are willing to invest to ensure that the environment is conducive for them, that they can bring their money. And our goal is that by the end of the 4-year term, that we can actually hit about 70% of that target, which means a significant portion of the country would have been connected. And once we can see that, and as we do that, it's not something you're going to see in 4 years' time. In fact, every quarter we're going to be measuring what we're doing, how we're improving that number. And the more we improve that number, the more the quality will go. But in the meantime as well, we're working with the telcos to ensure that on their part, they can do the right things. Once we're able to declare their infrastructure as critical national infrastructure, that they also do the right thing to ensure that the relationship with customers is actually where it should be, that they can enlighten customers better, they can attend to issues way faster, which I believe a lot of them are already doing. But we have to raise the game because we understand the importance of this sector for our economy.
Okay, I'm going to be taking you back to the question Emma asked earlier. I know you answered it, but I feel that we should dig in a bit more. So we have BVN, we have NIN. These are supposed to be like platforms to ensure that data is properly captured. I was so excited to hear that 90% of Nigerian population have registered their NIN. And if we actually link it to all the lines, and then we link it to the banks, it should be able to bring a lot of information together. But how do we ensure data security? There's a big challenge faced in the developed world, which is identity theft and all the ramifications. We haven't even seen the height of it yet. But how do we preempt these things from happening? Number one, how do we unify the data in such a way that I'm not asked to re-register, revalidate? Many people have to do this over and over again. Sometimes you get to the NIN office and they say the server is down. They're not working for a week. Or things like, weird things like that within the ministry. How do we harmonize our data, increase efficiency, and put it to good use?
Well, thank you. Again, I have to, commend the last administration because I think a lot of work was done around NIN, which is a foundation for us to build on. In terms of how do we harmonize it, I think that's a technical question, which it's not difficult to do. It's really bringing the different stakeholders together to ensure that we can agree on the standard. And this is why we're going through the route of something that is called the data public infrastructure, which was what I explained, when Nima asked that question initially. The goal here is to ensure that we can triangulate the different data set that we already have. If you triangulate across all of them, you will find that you already have everything that you need on every Nigerian, those that have registered. And when I said 90%, that's 90% of the adults, where we still have to register the really young people. But the most important one at this stage first is ensuring that those who are economically active, that we can identify them, which is why it's already a fantastic place to be. In terms of harmonization will happen when we triangulate those data and we have a single system. And this is starting from within government, because we see that different people are collecting data at different points. And to what you're saying about security, that actually makes it difficult for you to be able to properly secure people's data. And one thing that we've done as a nation is that last year, we were successfully able to start a bureau for a commission that is focused on data protection. And their job is to ensure that we're enlightening companies, but also government in terms of how to protect data. But once we develop our DPI standard, we will have a structure in place that says how data must be harmonized, shared, but also secured as well. And we can then centrally provide leadership and opportunity for different organizations to be, starting with government, of course, but also mainstreaming that in the private sector through the commission that is now being set up and is fully operational. Right. That will become the standard that we're promoting. Before now, we didn't have that commission. Things were being developed, and that's why everything was all over the place. But with this government looking to ensure that harmonization is a priority, but also with the commission in place, I think you start to see the standard being mainstreamed over the next 1 or 2 years.
All right, let me ask you concerning social media platform, because many countries have barred so many. We didn't know China has barred some social media platforms. Even within the US, some don't even allow TikToks in various states. We have various factors many have considered to ban several social media. Unfortunately, here in Nigeria, it's difficult because we can't regulate, we don't have control over them. Many people are defamed on social media, and we can't even trace the origin of the owner. They are faceless owners of these handles. And because we're not the originator of these platforms, it's difficult for us to trace what is Nigeria doing to create our own social media or counterpart social media platforms such that we have a bit of control when it comes to stuff like defamation, libel and stuff like that goes on, indiscriminately on social media.
Thank you so much. I think the question around being able to ensure that social media is not a pain to society, that has nothing to do with whether you own the networks or the platforms in your country. For a country like Nigeria, there's clear advantage to having locally developed but also owned platform. There's clear advantage because we're over 200 million people, so there's an economy of scale there. But that's not really what will address whether we're able to manage social media in such a way that it doesn't become a pain to society. Social media is a phenomenon that we all need to understand that it came out of the fact that technology is giving us the opportunity to connect. And if technology is providing opportunity to connect, it means that a lot more people can have connections in the way we've never seen before. Right? For those of us who perhaps finished university in, let's say, in the year 2000 or before, you find that it was a lot difficult for you to connect with your secondary school, primary school mates. But for those who finished after like 2002, when social media was already becoming a standard, it was almost like they never left because all your friends are on social media. You can connect with them. You can see what's happening to them. While social media is giving us opportunity to be able to connect with people globally, which means value is being created, it also has its own vices as well. Because as platforms like that, you can't really regulate how people communicate, what people share. But what you can do is to deepen your understanding of it, which is why you see that progressive nations don't necessarily go about banning social media. Progressive nations spend resources in understanding it. Because if you ban it, you start to ask yourself the questions, the network effect that comes with a young person in Funtua who has a business on Instagram and is able to generate value from that business by selling to everybody in Nigeria or even beyond. What will happen to that economic value? You don't want to ban it and you don't want to stop it. If you're creating local one as well, you have to ensure that the network effect is there. So it's about good and bad. And most of the time, the way you manage good and bad in technology is not through banning. It's through ensuring that you have a technical understanding of it. Most social media platforms actually have opportunities for you to be able to track people who are doing bad things on it. And they have rules and regulations that allow government to be able to, work with them to identify those people where necessary as well. So those are the things that we need to improve our understanding of. Perhaps have a local entity that is also monitoring it, which I believe is part of my mandate as a team, so that we ensure that we can allow social media to thrive, allow people to use it for economic and social activities, but at the same time that we're able to ensure that we can protect society from its vices as well. I think that's where we need to be. It's about knowledge. And it's the same thing you find with cryptocurrency as well. While cryptocurrency is useful for individuals, most nations are yet to truly understand how to manage it such that it doesn't affect the sovereignty of their nation. And that's a knowledge issue. We need to study it. We need to have within our ministries teams and entities that actually help nations prepare for it. And that's what we hope we're going to be doing over the next 4 years.
So the question Murayo asked, I don't think because many of us are worried about faceless brands on social media, faceless blogs on social media, putting out content that are false and we cannot, how would I be able to...
There's one popular one that nobody knows the owner.
Yes. How can I take them to court? How do we deal with those things when they happen, especially for those we don't know? Do we have a relationship?
A blog can hold the whole nation to ransom.
Even for governance sake, as I just mentioned earlier, where false stories are being, peddled as if they are true. And if until someone is able to step in, and sometimes even when you step in, it's too late, people carry the false stories. What is your ministry going to do to, protect the truth, from getting abused on social media?
It's ID. Once you can ID people, and the relationships and the opportunities you have with the platform is that everybody is also ID'd on their side as well, even though people provide fake IDs. So these things can be done. When people use social media, it's not being used without you knowing their location. The platforms also can know this as well. So it's about once we can idea our people better, there's opportunity for us to create linkages that will empower government to be able to protect society from it. And it's also the responsibilities of the platforms as well. Most of them are constantly pushing the barriers to ensure that fake news is being managed, that bots are being detected. As a nation, we would need to build our capacity. If we don't build capacity to do it, to the question you're asking, your answer seems like the only solution is to ban it, which doesn't make any sense. Because even for your business benefits from being able to engage on this platform. The individual businesses, small businesses that are benefiting from it, you can't just take a position to ban a platform because you don't understand how to manage devices. The role of government will be to continue to push our understanding of it. And as we push our understanding of it, as we improve on identity, that we use that understanding to ensure we can protect society. Energy transition is a fantastic opportunity. It's part of what we've prioritized under, again, if you check our strategic blueprint, under our innovation, entrepreneurship, and capital pillar. And what's going to happen is through IDICE, we're also going to be funding some entrepreneurs that are focused on clean technologies, but also that are participating within the energy transition space to help us look for more opportunities in that.
All right, let me get just 2 more questions in for you. Yes. We're done. Go ahead.
So, most of these platforms have their security features where they get blog owners who put up stories there to do some form of security. What's the relationship of your ministry like to ensure that those blogs whose offices or places where they run their businesses from are in Nigeria here, also. You have those details, such that if a blog were to be in litigation, we would know where to go to find the necessary information to do that. That's one. Then there's a question for you there's a message for you on Twitter. Ceci Isaac says, kindly ask the minister to call for a letter submitted to his office. It's an innovation on power generation, a technology of generating electricity using gravity without fuel, sun, battery, and wind, a renewable. Such technology will go a long way to engage teaming youth. I think he wrote already to your office. But then on my question, sir.
Because I'm on TV, I'm going to take this opportunity because you guys introduced me as someone coming from outside. And one of the things I've learned as well is that, as much as we're all excited about progress, the office of the minister is not the procurement entity within the ministry. Right. So the process through which, it's honestly, it's a fact. And because we have to talk about this as well. This is how pressure is put on politicians and the public system. We don't talk about this effect. So the office of the minister is not a procurement entity within the ministry. There's a path through which projects are implemented and things like that. But for people with innovative ideas, the best way to engage a minister is not to engage with a proposal. Sending a proposal to me, there's absolutely nothing I can do about it. The system does not empower me to be funding proposals without it being part of the budget. But you can engage on intellectual conversation around how specific ideas can help make our society better. So on that second question, that's the kind of thing we would like to see. Since we've been in the office, we've organized a lot of engagement with different people within the sector. We've had people who are looking at, the technology and disability. How do we ensure that those who are less able, that are physically challenged rather, that they also benefit from the opportunity of that technology. And they've been to us and we've had a roundtable, not a proposal, a roundtable. How do we do this? Those who are in animations are engaging us. Those who train people have actually been part of our 3 million technical talent program because they engage us in thinking through how that program is going to work. And I'm appealing to those with great ideas to take this approach. Let's engage and talk about how innovative ideas, innovative solutions can help move our nation forward before you get to proposal, because I'm not structured to answer that.
Okay.
All right. So
in terms of your
question on
go on.
The question on the blogs and the locations in Nigeria and partnership.
I think that's a mix of two things. A mix of, some part of that work is not something that my ministry is responsible for. One is IDing businesses as well. So when we talk about identification is not just about individuals, but also things, but also businesses as well. Once we start to, again, it's already being done, but if we can connect the data on businesses to the data that people like my ministry is using, that the security agencies are using, we have a better way of tracking people. Of course, you can say some of these bloggers are not registered businesses, But that's a separate conversation, which again has a lot to do with Ministry of Information. We have to collaborate with them to ensure that we can again identify people that are behind.
Okay, finally, I know you have to leave for a meeting, but I have to ask you this question before you go. Do you think there's synergy between the executive and legislature? I ask that because when we see the executive working on this renewed hope agenda, you know, all of you seem to be focused on how you can, you know, change things. Legislators, on the other hand, are ordering cars worth billions naira, and Nigerians are thinking 160 million naira per car. And you're thinking, do these guys understand renewed hope? Are they part of this agenda at all? So do you think there's synergy? And I'm asking you as an outsider in, again.
I like that tagging of outsider in, and I'm happy to be the outsider in. But you know what I've learned in few weeks of being in government?
What?
That we again disrespect our leaders a lot because we actually don't understand what they get up to. And I'll tell you, this is one thing I've learned, that people are working hard, but we don't get it. Since I've been in office, actually, last night, I was still, 2 nights ago, I was still in a dinner with the House Committee Chairman and the Deputy Chair for communications, because they are looking at the strategic blueprints that we've produced, and they're asking questions as to how can we ensure that what they're doing on the legislative side is in sync with the executive side. In fact, we've mainstreamed an approach where we say every quarter, not only should we meet to discuss, that we should have a dinner. So now what I do is I have dinner with I've done it with those from Senate, both House Committee Chair for ICT, House Committee Chair for Communication. I think that's the one that is left. I've done it with those in the House of Reps as well. We've also done that as well. This is something we want to do every quarter. We're saying to ourselves that we can't work in silence. Everything they want to achieve for the nation is also what we want to achieve for the nation. The only way we can serve better is by coming together. So we've already agreed that every quarter we'll have this dinner. And the dinner is not just with myself, it's also with the head of all the agencies under my ministry. Because once we create that relationship, there's not going to be friction. We're going to be singing the same tune. And by singing the same tune, we can work together to ensure that Nigerians can benefit. And I'm sure that many, many other committees in the National Assembly is also probably doing the same with other ministers as well. But that is something that we've started in our sector, and we think is going to benefit Nigerians.
All right, I have to let you go. Thank you so much, Dr. Bosun Tijani. We can be here till more questions are running in for you, but I'm told that you have to go. I really, really would like to have you back at some point to answer more questions. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's go on a break. When we come back, we continue with the show. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So the federal government has, in a new twist, announced that it will be closing 2 ramps of the 3rd mainland bridge for repairs with effect from today, November 6, 2023. This is coming barely 3 days after the Minister of Works, David Umahi, initially announced that the bridge will be closed on November 1st for a period of 3 months. Joining us right now on the show is the Commissioner for Transportation in Lagos, Mr. Seun Oshiyemi. Welcome to the show, sir.
Morning, how are you?
Yes, good to have you on the show. Please help us understand exactly what the closure will be about, because Nigeria's 3rd mainland bridge is a major route for many Nigerians. So we need clarity on where and how it will be closed.
Okay, thank you very much. It's been quite interesting seeing all sorts of communique out there that I would say I've actually confused a lot of people, but it's an opportunity to clear that and to actually clarify what's happening. So the main bridge, which is the 3rd mainland bridge from Bagada all the way to the island, and also from Lagos Island all the way to Bagada will be opened. So technically what we're closing will just be the ramps. The ramp going from Oworo inbound Adekule and also the ramp coming from Lagos Island inbound Adekunle. I actually shared some video to show what's going on right now. As we speak, the ramps are presently being closed. I'm not sure if you can show.
Yeah, we're seeing it.
Yeah, so presently, our people are there with Federal Ministry of Works shutting those ramps. For the first 2 weeks, it's going to be actually for 5 weeks.
What?
First 2 weeks, we will be shutting the 2 ramps I mentioned, meaning Oworo inbound Adekunle and Island inbound Adekunle. But the Adekunle inbound Oworo and inbound Island will be opened. So really, I don't think there's much to say than that. But the most important thing to state here is that the bridge itself will be open all through these 5 weeks. But the work on the bridge will only start in January. So all the stories of they're going to shut Third Mainland Bridge for 2 hours, they can't go home. I even heard some people saying they are relocating to the island because of work. There's really no need for that because the bridge will be open.
But the Adekunle inbound Oworo, that patch, there's a really bad patch. Like that, it's really, I think that's actually the worst. He's telling me that it's open. So he's saying that from Adekunle inbound Oworo is open. Are you going to fix that at some point?
Oh, yes, that's part of the plan. It's the second phase of the construction work within the 5 weeks that we're going to do that. But there's a palliative that will be done immediately to at least make it a lot more motorable. But once we're done with the first phase, which is in Oworo inbound Adekunle and Island inbound Adekunle, we'll get onto the other side, which is Adekunle inbound Oworo and Adekunle inbound Island.
Okay, so when it comes to road repair and closure, the challenge usually isn't just about the fact that it would cause inconvenience, but the management of the traffic that would happen after. So, during the repair work, the traffic management is the real work. Yeah. And it seems like, and once there's traffic, there's robbery. It's 5 and 6, and it's very present in Lagos State. Yep. I have to just say, because just before I went to Benin, I was in traffic. I saw police officers on the same bridge. Barely 2 minutes after the police officers, I saw drivers being harassed in the same traffic. So we're dealing with traffic management, we're dealing with security of lives during the traffic. What are you going to do as a ministry to ensure that there is free flow of traffic, ensure that people are not disobeying, going one way, or doing siren and disobeying and causing more gridlock, and finally ensuring that security presence is spread across anywhere there is traffic to avoid robberies taking place?
Thank you very much. The ministry is actually working with other security personnel to ensure full presence at all times. In addition, we've deployed, I would say, over 100 traffic officers to the area to complement those already there. Where also the Ministry of Transport has set up a team that will ensure that all of these personnel are doing their work dutifully. Also, we've put in place towing vehicles that would evacuate cars, broken down vehicles, if there's any need to evacuate them. We know that the challenge that comes with traffic is also security. So like I said earlier, we're also working with other security personnel to ensure the safety of Lagosians.
Okay.
Okay, so the Eko Bridge was shut down because of the Akpongbo issue just this year, at the beginning of this year. Sorry, more than this year, but we reopened this year. And I saw that there was poor traffic management on that Qatar end. That was the alternative for those going through Costain. It was an island. I hope that, you have a tighter traffic management preparing for January. That will be when the Third Mainland will face full work. Or what exactly would you be doing different this time, from what we saw in the past?
Okay, thank you. We all know that life is a learning curve. All the mistakes made during those periods, of course, will be corrected. And if you notice the way we're even going about the repairs of the Third Mainland Bridge, it shows a lot of management. By the time we're done with the ramps, we'll create enough time for us to be able to move on to the main bridge. While that is going on, we're also doing palliative works to ensure that the co-bridge area is properly sorted out in areas of palliative where we need to quickly do some little fixes here and there. The co-bridge was actually shut last week as well. Saturday/Sunday was opened this morning, just to quickly fix the expansion towards the Alaka Costain area. So we are very mindful of the need to put the alternative route in place and very motorable before we engage or before we start the rehabilitation work on the Third Mainland Bridge.
Yeah, so actually the alternative route was going to be my next question, because as we know, the Third Mainland Bridge is a heavily plied bridge, especially in the morning hours, like rush hour. And usually when there's work going on in that area, that whole thing ends up on my side of town, which is the Western Avenue. Everybody's there. So I just want to know what you're putting in place on the alternative routes, to ensure for free flow of traffic. Just basically that, this is not where work is being done, but we'll definitely see more traffic in this area. But we also need it to be well managed also.
Yes, like I said, we have between now and January to fine-tune on all of the things that we need to do to put in place. Fortunately, we also we opened the Oyinbo Bridge yesterday, which also would assist in the area of traffic management and enhance traffic. We are putting a lot in play, and working in conjunction with Federal Ministry of Works to ensure that the alternative routes that we'll be using during the main repair in January would all be in a motorable state. And I can promise Lagosians would ensure that the experience is one that we can work with.
Okay, Mr. Commissioner, Nigerians like when we see our leaders, giving us okay, if you live in Commercial Avenue, if you want to get on the Third Mainland Bridge, you don't go there, you go this way, you go that way. If you're living here, because I have 10 blocks here, I have 2 officers there, details, how we see in the movies, they can give you all the connections, the 2 meters, go here, then you drive, Could you just give us a semblance of something like that? Like, okay, if I live in Yaba right now, in Murit, in Habamakali, where do I go? How do I get to the island without any
Third Mainland,
without entering Third Mainland Bridge?
Okay, let me give you an example. This morning, we actually put a diversion sign. I also sent that video to you for this closure that we're having today, informing Lagosians that, look, if you're going to get on the Third Mainland Bridge and your destination is a Butemeta area, please do not get on Third Mainland Bridge, because what that does is you have to go all the way before you make a U-turn. Beyond that, we've done a lot of advocacy trying to tell people, if you're coming from, let's say from Bagada, and your destination is a Butemeta, there's no point going through Third Mainland now because there's no way there. So you need to make a detour and go around Antony and get on the Ikorodu Road, access Jibo, and then bang, you get to about Macaulay Way, and then you get to your desired destination. If you're coming from Oshodi Expressway, for example, and you're going to Butemeta, best bet is get down Ilupeju, get on the Ikorodu Road, and then you get to Butemeta. I mean, the Third Mainland Bridge, like I state today, as of today and the next 5 weeks, is only for those that are going from Lagos, from Oworu Bagada, all the way to the island.
Okay.
Because there will be no drop down at any point.
Let me put you on hold quickly, because I'm told that Engineer Kesha is on and she would like to join the conversation. So let's go on a short break and we'll bring her on. Thank you.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks. We have the Federal Controller of Works in Lagos State, Engineer Lukorede Kesha. Welcome to the show, madam, to give us an update. I know the last time you came here, you talked about the palliatives. So Now they're about to close certain parts of Third Mainland Bridge. Just as a recap again, tell us the closure.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. The bridge has actually been closed, even as we speak now. The ramps going to Adekunle has been closed, and the ramp coming from Island to Adekunle has been closed. Both bounds have been closed at the moment. But what we have is a situation where people are now taking the wrong way, facing those people coming from Adekunle to Iyanoworo.
Okay.
You understand? So people coming from Island, their exits, people coming from Island, their people coming from Adekunle that
That's
are
coming
to
from, let's say,
Iyanoworo.
from Oworo to...
No, Adekunle that
to
are coming to Iyanoworo
Yes.
is not blocked.
Okay, so, you
So because of that, people that
Didn't want
miss the ramp down, then they go forward to go and face them
way.
and then come and ramp down to Adekunle.
is that allowed?
It's not allowed. So
Force
we've been telling LASMA
Okay.
to live up to their
So
responsibilities.
we have the Commissioner of Transportation on the phone right now with us. Commissioner, did you just hear that?
I was even calling him on my way here.
Okay,
Okay,
Commissioner.
he
We've
could
talked
not
this
have
morning.
answered.
Hello, sir.
Yes,
Can you
no
hear me?
wonder he didn't answer.
Hello,
Mine
sir.
was engaged.
Mrs. Kesha, good morning.
Did you get the feedback from Engineer Kesha concerning the people taking one way to enter Oworo?
Well, I'm just getting to hear this and really not surprised because of the our people's way of lawlessness. We would quickly deploy more men to deal with that, and then possibly even have a discussion with Mrs. Kesha on if there's a need to actually do close the other ramp, just to mitigate
Yes, to
that. But
prevent it.
the first thing we'll do is we'll put more men to enforce that nobody takes one way, and then have a discussion offline with Mrs. Kesha to see if there will be a need to actually close the other ramp. The truth of the matter is, it's a first day, and people are not used to it yet, so they might want to find a way of getting to where they want to get to. But with law enforcers on the road, I'm sure this will be mitigated.
Might I suggest something? Is because as you mentioned, it's the first day, but before today, but I mean, let's not cry over spilt milk. Could we put signs up? Because sometimes it's not
Signs are
large
everywhere.
enough to
Signs
see.
are, we did that
So let me help
yesterday.
you. So on
Signs
our...
are everywhere, even the digital billboards.
Yeah.
We advertise, yes, they're flashing it.
So on our own
Since
end of
yesterday,
town,
from Bagada,
When-
Island, even from Lagos Ibadan, they are flashing it.
Okay.
Adekunle ramp is closed.
Yes, we
I
know
saw
it's
another
closed,
like
but
that.
you're coming, take this alternative
This
route.
is not
That's what we do.
this is not a one-way, because what we see is allowed in other areas. They allow it, where they now try to manage both traffic to move. So people can assume it, that
you
is
don't
going to
assume,
work.
that's why you
So
know that.
I'm just trying to say there's
Even
not...
yesterday we're out.
The intention might not be
Continue this
to...
advocacy.
The
lawless.
intention might not be to be lawless. That assumption flies in other areas. So the Lagos State people, would they be just arresting every mistaken person?
No, they won't
or
be arresting.
turning
At the
people back and
moment-
insisting?
At the moment, there will be no arrest.
Okay.
We're just going to try to convince people, try and try. This
Turn
is
back.
Before you came, I was telling Mr. Commissioner that Adekunle onward to Oworo, that ramp is where the problem is, because that road is totally horrible. So I'm wondering why it's open. Why they're not fixing that one now? Now said in the next phase.
It's not that bad. Lagos State government did something of recent there.
Okay, the
yes,
palliatives you spoke of.
Yes.
Adekunle and
Yes,
that
Adekunle
that
to
ramp.
come to Iyanoworo.
Yes,
Lagos
that-
State government worked on it.
Eh.
Yes, it's possible. It's a bit okay.
Okay.
It's a bit okay.
I have to slow down completely.
It's a,
Yes, I know that.
it's a bit okay. The ramp coming from Island to Adekunle is the longest.
Yes, it is.
It's the longest. That's about 2.2 kilometers.
Okay.
And that's why we're tackling that one first.
We have to wrap up, but I think finally, I mean, anything you want to tell our viewers so that they just know.
Our viewers should learn to play by the rules, please. I want to beg our viewers, let us learn to play by the rules. We have said Adekunle ramp is closed. So if you're going there, we have told you the alternative routes to go through. We have told you, go use Scattered Bridge, use Echo Bridge.
Right.
So there's no need to come and clog that place so that there will be confusion.
And Mr.
Let's
Commissioner,
learn to obey traffic officers.
Mr. Commissioner, how many officers do you have on the road? To be
Everybody.
Like I said, we've deployed about 100 more to join those that are already on those point of construction and also alternative routes. So we've deployed more than enough men. But like Mrs. Keshe said, would appeal to motorists to please obey the law enforcers and please just take the suggested alternative routes. We need them to comply and to assist in this as well.
Thank you very much. That's all we can take on today's show. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.